Matt.
Hello.
Excited to have you. Can't wait to see your talk.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for having a wonderful opportunity. Looking forward to talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning in test automation. And also, I would like to talk about some of the use cases which we can probably, see, or maybe if anyone wants to implement, they can look for it. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited. It's almost 12:10 a.m. Uh, in India. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you're as caffeinated as I am then. Um, and if you want to go ahead and share your slides, we can get started.
All right. Okay.
Awesome.
Just let me share the screen. Okay. Right. Okay. If you can just help me with, you're able to see my slides. Is it visible? I hope you can see the slides. All right. Okay. So I am starting. Okay. So yeah. Once again, welcome to everyone for this session on artificial intelligence and machine learning in test automation. My name is Sumit Mundara. I am working with Vodafone Voice India, and I'm taking care for automation test activity here. So today we're gonna talk about basically what is artificial intelligence is all about, what is machine learning, just so that we can understand basically how it works and the way the models are getting built. Okay, and then by understanding that we can kind of look for some of the challenges which we have in the test automation, which possibly the machine learning and AI ML can basically solve. Okay, so in terms of today's agenda, we will be talking about evolution of software testing. How the software testing is evolved. Uh, we will start about the journey, how the traditional automation was happening and now is happening. What is happening when it comes to artificial intelligence. We will be talking about an overview about what is AI ML, and specifically the core and a subset of the machine learning, which is a deep learning. And again, these things we are sharing just so that we understand what basically it looks like. We will be talking about some of the approaches of machine learning, and then as I did mention about why we need artificial intelligence in test automation. So we will go back, we will see some of the challenges which we have in traditional test automation, and how we can kind of fix them by using artificial intelligence and machine learning. So that's about about the topic, and then we will look some of the use cases, and then we will go for a summary. Right. Just I'm taking a confirmation. I hope Jenna, you can see the slides and you can hear me. Yeah, okay, perfect. So let me jump into the topic now. Evaluation for the software testing, how it happened. So we started with a kind of functional testing or a manual testing when the quality assurance started. That was an era where there were no automation tools, or even there was not like a kind of bulky or a huge requirement in terms of test automation. Then came an era wherein we got a lot of automation getting started. But this particular decade was completely busy with the bulky tool which are very heavy in nature. Maybe you can talk about record and play kind of tools which are bulky in nature. They can do automation, but end of the day, the maintenance or the cost was very high. They were not scalable, and they were not able to adapt with the pace. Okay, Now necessity is the mother of invention, right? So then came a era, and I think we are almost at end, and somehow we are overlapping with the artificial intelligence which is taking over, which is about how the traditional software testing methodologies have been evolved. So we have agile, we have DevOps, we have a requirement of having a continuous testing, continuous feedback. And by looking all those perspective, and by looking the way the software testing methodologies have been evolved, there was a need of having a faster automation, and automation which can scale, which can give you result on a timely manner, or we wanted to go back more in terms of shift left and things like that. And honestly, when we are into that at the same time, and that's why I was mentioning we are somewhere overlapping between the this advancement of a software testing methodologies, and then the artificial intelligence, machine learning, okay, which is taking care, or going in our product. We have a product which are built on AI/ML. Then we have artificial intelligence, machine learning coming into the way the traditional automation is used to be happening. And now that is what we're gonna see, what are those particular areas which can be looked as in AI ML use cases. So that is how we started with an evaluation. I will try to I have I particularly have this slide because I wanted to connect the dot at end when we will be talking about a quick summary. We will try to see how the evaluation is always helpful if we take it in a right sense and we use technology wisely. Now let's talk about artificial intelligence. So this image I've taken the definition from the Wikipedia. In a sense, artificial intelligence is intelligence which was demonstrated by the machine as opposed to human, right? So here we are using something which we call a machine learning. Now artificial to have an artificial intelligence, right? How it works is it relies on some of the machine learning fundamentals, the approaches which we will see. But let's consider what happens in machine learning. So it is basically a study of the computer algorithms. Okay, you have a varieties of algorithms which play on the data, okay, and then automatically give you some kind of a result. Now I just want to take a little bit pause here to help you understand basically how it works. I mean, we have all seen somewhere, or we have learned about the probabilities, we have learned about some of the use cases in the traditional mathematics, right? If you are tossing a coin, what is the probability of getting is head or tail, right? So let's take this example and try to understand that you have some data, and then you have some kind of different input, and you are looking for an output, right? Well, just expand this particular concept when we talk about the machine learning, and he'll try to understand that in machine learning, depending upon the problem and a context, you get a different kind of a flavor. What are they? We will see that now. But let's see what is the most important part here. The most important part here is the data, right? So you get a data, you play on that data. The most important time, a significant time, I would probably say, goes in data cleanup activity. You want to come to a proper feature set where you have an interest. If you are having an output already defined, that you're looking for some kind of a problem statement where the output is already defined, okay, or maybe you are looking for output, and the output, like what you are looking for, at that time you will go for supervised learning example. And then you will be using this machine learning algorithm on that cleanup data, and you will see different result. The precision, recall, you will play with all those parameters, your F1 score, and then you will come to a significant point that fine, on this probability or on this particular output, I'm fine with my the result, and then you will deploy the model. Then comes another subset, a core part of machine learning, wherever there is a complex problem situations arises, which we call as a deep learning, right? So you must have heard the word, convolutional neural network, basic neural network. So that is all about deep learning. Now, what happens here in a deep learning is you get more sophisticated algorithm to play, okay, and you can correlate this a little bit in terms of the way the neurons work in our human body, right? So that's about, in a nutshell, what is artificial intelligence all about, how does it look, and how it works in terms of when you have the actual data. Now let's try to understand different approaches of machine learning, right? So I will take a little bit more time here so that we understand one by one. So let's say the first part is one of the part of a machine learning is depending upon the problem statement, whether the problem is going for a supervised learning or unsupervised learning or reinforcement learning. Now, just to understand and remember this concept is, when we talk about the supervised learning, we have our output variable already defined. So you have a label data in the supervised learning. So wherever you have output which you are looking for and you have a label data, then that particular problem statement goes to supervised learning. Okay. And example would be the regression problem or a classification problem. Let's take an example of a regression like weather forecasting. Maybe we want to do a defect prediction, we want to do some kind of a classification. Example would be a stock market forecasting, or you want to classify the data. So here your y variable, the output variable we call in AIML, and then you will be playing depending upon the problem statement, the regression or kind of a classification algorithm, right? Now let's go back and connect that point which I was just trying to explain, that you get a data, you play on the data, you do data cleanup, and as soon as you have a proper data, you divide data into training and testing set, right? And then on that training data you will be playing all these algorithm, right? No need to go and mug up the algorithms, what are they? It is just like if you get a concept, the algorithms are already ready, they are very sophisticated, they will play on a data and then you will get a result. If you're fine with the result, you will use the same algorithm on your testing data, again you will see the result, and if everything goes fine as per your requirement, you will be deploying the model. Second comes unsupervised learning. Now what happens in unsupervised learning here is, we get a problem statement which is not a label data, right? So when we say it is not a label data, now in sense we are working on hidden parameters, right? So we are trying to understand from a data itself, right? And here the problem goes to maybe a clustering, or maybe you have a lot of input variable and you want to come to a point where a particular columns or maybe the feature set are important for you, and then you will be doing that kind of a reduction of the feature set which we call as a dimensional reduction. And then depending upon again the problem statement and a context, you will be playing unsupervised learning algorithm. Now a very good example could be a market segmentation. You want to go and have your market segmentation ready. At that time you will be using a clustering, or maybe you want to know there are a defect, these defects are categorizing in which kind of area, so you want to cluster the defect having a common area or a interest or a domain an application. So that example goes with the unsupervised learning, right? I'm taking this time so that we can understand first AIML, and then we can correlate with how AIML will fit in our software testing areas and or kind of areas. And then comes reinforcement learning. I think we all like playing the games, and a very good example, maybe with the example I will start for reinforcement learning, is autonomous driving, right? So here what happens, just to understand this reinforcement learning concept, basically you get a runtime problem situation, right? The way we play the game, or the way we want to have autonomous driving of our vehicle at that particular time, you get continuously different variety of a problem statement, and you want to decide at runtime how to adapt the situation and what could be your next move, right? So in that case you are continuously learning, so we call it as a q learning or a deep q network, right? So that is an example of reinforcement learning. Just so that we understand everything goes with an algorithms, that is what machine learning all about. So supervised learning, if comes, you will be playing with a logistic regression, you will be playing with knn. And if there is an unsupervised learning problem statement, you will be playing with the models or a machine learning algorithm which are related to PCA or SVD. Okay. So that's about how the machine learning works. I think by now we understood data is so much important, and depending upon the context we play on a data, and now we try to adopt I mean train our models, and then we deploy the models. By this time we are somewhere talking more and more about AIML, but what goes to artificial automation, that's what the topic is, right? So let's try to understand why we need artificial in test automation. Okay. First of all, do we need it, right? So here I'm not going to talk about the problems which cannot be answered for now by AIML. I will try to put only the particular problems which can be addressed by artificial intelligence. And maybe if we have understood little bit about how the machine learning works, then we can use those kind of the context to be able to understand the problem. Okay, in machine learning, understanding the problem is the most important part. And once you understand the problem, then you know where to fit that particular problem. Maybe supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, train the model and get the result. So here, always to learn about why we need this, let's try to understand what are our real problem. So the first and the most important problem when it comes to automation, and generally all of us have noticed, is a skill set, right? So when we talk about automation skill set, uh, I would say that you might be having a very good skill set in terms of resources. So but everyone is not having that thing. Even if you have automation skill set within your team, within your organization, but still, end of the day, we are human, and as a human, we can make some of the mistakes which can be a human related mistakes. There could be some kind of a typo and things like that. Maybe when it comes to code review, particularly an example, you are not able to find out the the problem, or maybe you are not able to address where the optimization can help you at that particular time. Auto AI is really a helping hand. And one particular point which I really wanted to address here was, when we talk about the skill set, I think apart from that header, maybe we can also talk about efficiency, right? So end of the day, we as a human have, maybe we can work 10 hours, 12 hours, but these are the machines, these are the models, right? They can work 24 by 7. And maybe there are mandate action, repetitive things which are happening around you. And here the machine learning or the AIML can help you to do those kind of activity for you, and you can spend that particular time in your creativity or where you have more interest or domain expertise. Now, let's talk about another and most important problem, which I think I and everybody around us know, is about the maintenance. Okay, so here, when we talk about, and maybe I will take an example of XPath, right? So it's very famous, and everybody knows that when it comes to automation, we are using XPath. By using XPath, we are able to identify the element using a DOM, and once we identify, we create those repository and we use in automation, right? And when we are doing that, at that time again, maybe sometimes because of the skill set, you are not using or creating a right XPath. Okay, now here machine can come and tell you, this is the best XPath, this will work, this is not best XPath. One example of AI. Second example could be that you have XPath which you are writing in your script, and maybe there is a deployment happening from the development side. Your DOM is getting changed, your locators are getting changed, and at that time again, you are ending up with a lot of maintenance activity. And if we have that maintenance activity, at the end of the day, either you need a time, resources to be able to adapt and do the maintenance, or you need something which we all know, and it's a very interesting topic nowadays, is about smart healing. Like, can AIML go check your changing of the parameter, because it's all about the design patterns. And if they identify there is a change in the design pattern, there is a change in object repository, then machines can go, ML can go there and fix the problem for you. So that's another example of a maintenance. Then scaling automation. Now, it could be a little bit tricky that, yeah, someone may argue that we already have a scaling in automation. But honestly, when we talk about automation scaling, there is a lot of areas needs to be explored, and again, areas which can be improvised. So particularly, I believe that when it comes to scaling, the pace is not matching with the automation. And again, it is because of the limitations of the human. But when it comes to machine, maybe the AIML can understand where there is a need of an orchestration, where you want to scale quickly, what are the resources you are in need at runtime, and maybe what are the areas where you can shut the resources, maybe you're not using it. So any kind of a scaling, orchestration, runtime scaling in DevOps, your pipelines, you can use the AIML very effectively. Then comes the test coverage, and I'm taking this point because nowadays, and I think it's not only about the quality and finding a defect, it's about the product, the experience, right? So when it comes to test coverage, and now there are a lot of things in the industry like autonomous testing. There is a spider AI technology, by which what happens is, you basically use this kind of a AI ML tool. You put them into the application. You again know what was the baseline image, what is your next baseline, after a baseline what is your next kind of a changed parameter. And then if you see there is a kind of a gap, right, what we can do is we can try to minimize this gap by again using AI ML tools which can identify unhidden or untouched test cases, right? So and I have taken this example like what end users are using or the way they are using. If that kind of a scenarios are missing in the testing, that's not a good, right, that's not a good idea. So that is where I wanted to say that AIML can definitely look for that a touch or unlooked potential scenarios which actually your end users are using, and then you can also implement or use them in your testing scenarios or a feature. And that's why you can call it as your test coverage is getting more and more, and that means you are doing more and better quality assurance. So I think we understood why we need AI in test automation. Now let's go back and see what are some of the examples. So let me just change the slide. Okay. So now we are going to talk about what are the areas. So let me start with the first example, which is a self-filling of test automation, right? So when we talk about self-filling of a test automation, I will try to explain you how it works when we talk about AIML. Okay. So by now we understood there is a change in your object repository. I will use maybe a simpler word like there is a change in your web pages, okay, and that can be technically some HTML changes or your CSS changes. And when these changes are happening, what you want is you want something which is almost able to understand this hidden pattern. You can use some kind of NLP, you can use some kind of ML methodologies by which you want to go back to those kind of changes, and you want your AIML to go and fix for you, right? Now, this is a very good example of AI/ML where AI/ML can detect this, parameters changes. Then you can train your models, okay, because now we have output defined already, so you can train your model accordingly, and then you can deploy the model in a production so that automatically after a deployment, if there is any changes, right, you no need to go and do maintenance by your own. Rather, AI/ML can go back to your script and they can do the maintenance activity for you, right? So that is a very good example of a self-filling of test automation. Now let's go to and see another example. What is that? AI-based API automation testing and test data generation. So now here, maybe I will start with test data generation. When we say about test data generation, most of the time, and particularly when we talk about a scaling or you want to do a rapid testing, you want to do a shift left, uh, you don't have a data. And maybe if you have, you can create a data. At that time, you don't know what are the areas where really you need data, and then which type of data you want to mimic a data, you want to clone a data. And at that time it's like you have so many requests coming in all of a sudden and you're not able to scale the thing. Now here again, AI/ML can come as a rescue hand. They can help you in kind of a test data generation. And similarly, AI based API automation testing, right? So a lot of traditional automation testing happening is around GUI based, right? But when it comes, particularly if I talk about API, I can relate about microservices, right? So when we talk about microservices, and in that kind of a project where you are dealing with a lot of microservices, you need to understand how the relation is there. And I will probably use a word from ML, but how the association is, right? And to understand this association hidden parameter, you cannot learn and understand full that microservices, right? But machines can understand, and they can tell you these are the association, these are the clustering, these are the related things. So that is how AI based API automation testing or test data generation can help us. Now let's go and see another example. Spidering AI. So spidering is a beautiful, technology, and what it does is the way we talk about spider, right? So it's like a mesh. Okay, we use this technology, and particularly development team uses it a lot. And what they do is they just use AI ML tool which are enabled with this technology of a spidering. put that application on your web application for crawling, and then the things start happening, gets start about what is a change in your a baseline images, right? So basically it takes all your screenshot, your HTML code snippet and everything, and then it goes back and it compares that what was there in the baseline image. If there is any changes, it will alarm you, and then you as a domain expert, you can go back, you can check, okay, if there are any changes, is it a bug or is it just the expected behavior, and accordingly you can file a defect. And at the same time, you can use automation to be able to generate your scenario by ML automatically, right? So you can take a combination, and then you can use spidering technology. Development team uses it, and that's a very good example of artificial intelligence. Now let's talk another thing, visual testing. I think this is one of my favorite. So when we talk about visual testing, that way traditional visual testing used to happen is really changed. Okay, so nowadays a lot of computer visions are getting used, not a lot of sophisticated deep learning algorithms are there in a picture, which are able to find your visual testing. Something out of the topic because it is not related to AIML, but I really wanted to say that, and I have heard somewhere in some of the conferences that if you wisely use visual testing, right, maybe the again and again the regression or the things like that which you are doing, you can optimize, right? Because these tools are coming with so much sophisticated way that one line of a code is checking your entire web page, right? And I think if you go the way we do automation, right, we need to write a lot of lines of code, a lot of verification and validation. But here, when we talk about computer vision and a visual testing, right, these libraries can detect any changes, right? And if they can do all this verification, more verification, then really do we need to write that big code? No. So I'm not saying that let's change the visual testing with that, but I'm saying there could be some scenarios where you already have this requirement, then why to go with another way of writing so much bulky code, right? So that is not related to this topic, but I just thought when we are in visual testing, so maybe you can think of that. Fine, I want to log in a web page and I want to verify whether a user is having a proper profile or not. But hey, with visual testing I can check entire web page. It means I am able to check that also, right? So why you need that kind of a coding, right? So that is a visual testing, and computer vision is getting so much used in this area, and a lot of tools are there in the market which are there to do visual testing, and they are completely using machine learnings and deep learning to be able to do this sophisticated testing. Now sorry, now comes my favorite, autonomous testing. So maybe I will not try to explain by definition, but I will try to explain what it is. So you want to create your test autonomously, you don't want any intervention as such, right? And when you don't want any kind of such intervention, what you want to do is you want to have some kind of a design pattern, okay, which will be able to understand what is the change in your production, and then by looking those kind of changes, or the schema changes, I would probably use the word, you will see the baseline image, and then you will try to bring that scenarios automatically for you. So you don't want any intervention, you want to generate your scenarios which are missing, and here again AIML can come as a rescue hand and can help you to create those kind of test cases autonomously without any human intervention. Now, defect analysis and prevention. I don't know why it is so late, but yeah, I think this is one of the example we all are familiar. I believe that AI/ML can help us to predict. Right. I think the probability is one of the area where you can put this problem statement. You have a lot of data. You have different areas where the defects used to produce. You have collected the data, and then you are trying to understand in the next deployment where there could be a defect. So that could be a defect analysis, and talking or telling about the defect. But then comes an interesting part, which is a defect prevention, right? If you want to prevent a defect, then you need something different, right? So you need to go shift left, and at the time of deployment you need to have this kind of a AML, which is which are there able to understand that these changes have already created such kind of a defect, and maybe maybe this is not going in a right pattern, this is alarming, and then you can probably go and prevent the defect. But defect analysis and defect preventions are particularly a very great and good example of using AIML. And if we are using it properly, then I think when we talk about software testing, I think one more problem which we usually come across is about where to put resources and energy, right? So here maybe this kind of things, if you are adapting in your traditional software testing, maybe you are potentially allowing resources to be there, and then you are using your energy wisely, and then maybe you no need to do entire testing, right? Because I know we talk about continuous testing, test everything, but come on, I mean, if you want to you have AIML, and if they can tell you what are the particular area where your productivity or your focus is required, you will be focusing there, right? And maybe you can the resources, limited resources, even if you have, you can actually direct the energy in a right context. So that is about defect analysis and prevention. And similarly, I think that was the next point, was about smart automation suite, right? So that is what I was talking, right? So um, it is very important what to test, what not to test, when to test, and all this kind of things only can be answered if you have a data. And that's the whole story, right? If you have a data, you will be using data, you will be using machine learning algorithms to be able to understand the data. uh, Again, if you have a output known, you will be using supervised. If you don't know about it, unsupervised learning, runtime data, reinforcement learning. And then you will be able to find out what are those smart automation suite which probably you can use. So I think now it's time to quickly summarize what we have understood from this topic is about uh, increased AIML based test automation is actually happening, and a lot of tool are having maybe a few features which are actually ready with AIML. But going down the line, in some of the years, what we are gonna see is a lot of features and a lot of things are actually happening by AIML. There are tools who are able to tell you the expert, who are able to write the script for you, who are able to do the maintenance for you. So more and more AIML based automation. Now, AIML enhancing various feature in automation tools and framework, right? Depending upon the needs, the scalability. We have talked about, the progression automation, shift left, and where you want to bring your energy, right? At that time, again, AIML can be, enhancing, various features. I think I have missed about the strategy, but that can also go there. And then what we foresee is a more and more increased demand of the professionals who are there, who understood AIML. And I really believe that if you understand the core concept, then only you can go and really implement it rightly, right? So if we don't know AIML, and that's why I have, I was taking almost 5 to 10 minutes to explain about what is AIML, and I was talking more and more about the data, because once we understand how it works, then we can relate, okay, that is how it works. So this is an area, maybe I am doing it in a different way, but AI ML works like that, so why not to use it, right? So there will be more and more demand, and particularly for automation, where if the folks or architect, if they understand AI ML, I think they can do justice, they can understand what are the areas we should start using with AI ML. And then quality automation, and automation for everyone, uh, because once we have this kind of a AIML tool, if you remember, we talked in the evaluation, the bulky heavy tool, right? If you have so much AIML, tools will make your life easy to be able to do, so that everyone can do automation, and everyone can get some return of investment out of that. And then I want to just close my presentation with one of the thing that we started with an evaluation, we are ending on artificial intelligence use cases. And what I see from throughout the technologies, uh, evolvement, right? If the change is for good, right, let's embrace it, right? So here, if we are wisely, accurately using AIML in our software testing, we are taking it for, with the open hand, rightly we are using again, then definitely it is going to give us a good ROI, return of investment, and better automation. So if the change is for good, let's embrace the change. So that's it from my end. Now I can go back if we have any questions. So let me just stop sharing the screen. And so, yeah. So, Jenna, I think I'm fine for the questions if you have
There
any.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of questions in the chat. First of all, a lot of
Mhm.
people said they really enjoyed it. Um, let's see. Micah said she was wondering if there are additional, or excuse me, they were wondering if there are additional materials to study on the subject.
Mhm.
Maybe some communities or video courses you could recommend.
All right. So I think there are a lot of LinkedIn groups about AIML. There is a group from Great Learning. Okay, you can register for that, and if possible, maybe I will be sharing some of the links which you can register, and you can subscribe for them. And every week or bi-weekly, you will get some kind of those materials. Yeah.
Perfect. Since we have a second and I'm not familiar with it, can you elaborate on Spider AI a little bit more?
All right, yeah, sure. So I will again go back and I will explain you how it works. I think by that you will understand how the technology is. So spidering, the name itself says it's a spidering, right? A meshing, right? So we, development team uses this spidering. So they start on the web application, they put this AIML tool on the web application, consider like that. And what this application does is it scroll through your web application, right? And when it is doing this scrolling, it will take your screenshot, it will take your HTML example of a coding snippet and things like that. And what we are doing indirectly is we are collecting a data, right? You have collected a data, you have a data, you will use ML algorithm, and what you will find it, okay, there is a change in a design pattern. It means there is some changes in the object in the backend. It could be a defect, it could not be a defect. If it is not defect, then it is a unhidden test coverage scenario. Let's create it, right? So that's a beautiful concept of spidering, and then we are connecting that spidering concept with artificial intelligence here. I hope I answered your question. Yeah.
I think so. It's almost like AI crawling.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like connect the dots. I think I got it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, that was fantastic. And as somebody who's really still learning kind of the nuts and bolts of AI, it was fantastic to get to see all of these different things kind of presented together because you see it a lot in bits and pieces. So
Mhm.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thank you for being up so late.
Thank you so much for a wonderful platform. I'm really happy that I always believe in, keep learning and keep sharing. So always anything for our QA community. Thanks for a platform, Jenna, and thanks for being a wonderful host here.